Breaking chains, building legacies, how trauma survivors become world changers. Have you ever looked at your family tree and thought, this stops with me? That moment when you realize you're standing at a crossroads of history, where you can either perpetuate patterns that have caused pain for generations or make the brave, often terrifying choice to forge a new path. I recently had the profound privilege of interviewing Timika Burton, known professionally as authoress T. Lachey, a four-time published author and founder of A.W.A.K.E, a warrior against killing esteem. This remarkable woman has transformed unspeakable childhood trauma into a mission that's changing lives across the country. Her journey from abuse survivor to mental health advocate, certified life coach, and literary voice for the voiceless left me speechless, shaken, and ultimately transformed. What struck me most wasn't just her survival, it was her absolute refusal to let her past dictate her future. As she told me with unflinching clarity, campaign for yourself. Those three words have been echoing in my mind ever since, a mantra for anyone who has ever felt their voice didn't matter. Today, I want to share what I learned from Tamika's extraordinary story and the powerful insights it offers for all of us, whether we're healing from our own wounds or supporting others through theirs. Because here's the truth that Tamika's life illuminates so brilliantly: breaking generational cycles isn't just about personal healing, it's revolutionary work that changes families, communities, and ultimately the world. Let's be honest. We live in a culture obsessed with what I call resilience porn, those inspirational stories that make trauma seem like just another obstacle to overcome on your path to success. You know the ones. They're packaged neatly with before and after photos and tidy life lessons that fit on an Instagram square. But Tamika's approach is different. It's not about getting over it or pushing through. It's about conscious choice, determined action, and the radical act of reclaiming your power. When trauma enters our lives, whether through abuse, abandonment, or systemic oppression, it doesn't just wound us, it tries to define us. It whispers that we are our worst experiences, that we are damaged goods, that we should accept less, expect less, become less. But what if we could flip that script entirely? Consider Tamika D. Mallory, a renowned social justice leader whose story parallels Tamika's in remarkable ways. Growing up in Harlem, Tamika faced both personal trauma and the systemic barriers that often marginalize Black voices. Yet she transformed that pain into purpose, building strategic movements and leveraging her experience to fuel her advocacy work through the organization until freedom. Today, she's not just surviving, she's a published author with an influential platform dedicated to justice work and a respected voice in national conversations on equity and rights. Her journey from neighborhood advocate to national figure demonstrates something profound. Our deepest wounds can become our most powerful sources of leadership. This transformation from victim to advocate, from wounded to healer, isn't magic or luck. It's intentional. It's a choice made daily, sometimes hourly, to reclaim narrative authority over your own life. As Tamika powerfully articulated in our interview, no one else can judge your healing journey or the path you take to reclaim your power. Those words hit me like a thunderbolt. How often do we surrender our healing to external validation? How frequently do we measure our progress by someone else's yardstick? The truth is, healing isn't linear, it isn't neat, and it certainly isn't performed for anyone else's approval. In Frederick, Maryland, an organization called Service Coordination Inc. embodies this philosophy beautifully. They provide quality case management services that respect clients' dignity and rights while connecting them to community resources. Their approach isn't about creating dependency, it's about fostering autonomy and self determination. Since joining the Frederick Chamber in 2022, they've built a reputation for client centered support that balances practical assistance with emotional empowerment. Their clients don't just receive services, they gain greater self sufficiency and the ability to make informed choices about their lives and healing journeys. This model works because it recognizes a fundamental truth: people don't need to be rescued, they need to be resourced, they don't need pity, they need partnership. And this brings me to the second powerful lesson from my conversation with Timika. Self advocacy isn't selfish, it's sacred. In a world that often expects the wounded to be grateful for crumbs, standing up and saying, I deserve more is revolutionary. It's disruptive. And yes, it makes people uncomfortable. But as Tamika reminded me, campaigning for yourself isn't about ego, it's about dignity. It's about recognizing that you are worthy of wholeness, not despite your trauma, but including it as part of your complete human experience. This isn't easy work. It requires us to confront not just external obstacles, but our own internalized limitations. Those voices that whisper we should settle, that we're asking for too much, that we should be grateful for whatever scraps of healing or justice we receive. The Seton Center in North Frederick County offers another powerful model for this work. Since at least 2017, they've recognized that healing requires addressing multiple dimensions of a person's life simultaneously. They provide financial assistance, case management, and free resources while focusing on what they call the well being of the whole person. Their holistic approach acknowledges that trauma doesn't just affect one aspect of our lives, it touches everything: our relationships, our finances, our physical health, our spiritual well being, our ability to trust, to hope, to dream. True healing, then, must be equally comprehensive. It must address not just the visible wounds, but the invisible ones: the beliefs we've internalized, the boundaries we've abandoned, the dreams we've deferred. This brings me to the third and perhaps most transformative insight from my conversation with Tamika. Healing isn't just personal, it's purposeful. Through her work as a certified life coach with mental health expertise and as founder of Awake, Tamika demonstrates how transforming pain into purpose creates ripple effects that extend far beyond individual healing. When we heal, we don't just change our own lives, we change what's possible for others. We expand the imagination of our communities. We create new templates for what healing can look like. This isn't about pressure or performance. It's not about turning your trauma into your brand or commodifying your pain. It's about recognizing that your journey, messy and imperfect as it may be, matters beyond yourself. As Tamika's work shows, when we share our stories with intention and integrity, we create permission for others to begin their own healing journeys. We disrupt the isolation that trauma creates. We challenge the shame that keeps wounds festering in darkness. And perhaps most powerfully, we demonstrate that trauma survivors aren't just people who need help. They're people uniquely positioned to offer help, to lead movements, to reimagine systems, to create change. So, where does this leave us? What do we do with these insights? First, examine your own narrative. Where might you need to campaign for yourself instead of waiting for external validation or rescue? Where have you surrendered your authority over your own healing journey? Reclaim it today, now. Second, identify one generational pattern or dysfunction you've experienced and make a conscious choice to break it. This might mean seeking therapy, joining a support community, or simply naming the pattern aloud for the first time. Breaking silence breaks power. Third, consider how your own healing journey might become a platform to help others. This doesn't mean you need to start a nonprofit or write a book, though you certainly could. It might be as simple as sharing your story with one person who needs to hear it, or advocating for change in your workplace or community. As Tamika's journey illustrates so powerfully, when we transform our relationship to our trauma, we transform our relationship to everything else: our bodies, our communities, our work, our purpose. We move from surviving to thriving, from being defined by what happened to us to defining what happens next, from inheriting legacies of harm to creating legacies of healing. This isn't just personal work, it's revolutionary work, it's world changing work. Because every time someone breaks a generational cycle of dysfunction, they create a new possibility, not just for themselves, but for all who come after them. Every time someone refused to pass down their unhealed wounds, they pass down potential instead. I challenge you today: look at the chains that have bound your family for generations. Look at them closely, feel their weight, and then ask yourself, what if I could be the one to break them? It won't be easy, it won't happen overnight, but as Timika Burton has shown us, it is absolutely possible. Your healing isn't just about you, it's about everyone your life touches. It's about the future you're creating with every choice to face your pain rather than pass it on. It's about the legacy you're building with every act of courage, every boundary you set, every time you choose dignity over despair. So stand up, speak out, campaign for yourself, and know that in doing so, you're not just changing your story, you're changing the world's story. One brave, beautiful, broken, and mended heart at a time. The chains stop here, the healing starts now. And the legacy you build, that's just beginning.